Yeah, they calling me controversial. I don't know why, I'm just telling the truth. Yeah. They're indoctrinating kids with lies. It's just evil in disguise. They say that it's love, but they lie. They say that they're girls, but they're guys. Or they say they have no gender. From guy sports to girls, where they're winners. From now on, I identify as a Ninja Turtle. Where's Master Splinter? They calling me controversial. They calling me controversial. They calling me controversial. They calling me controversial. Jesus was controversial. Paul was controversial. Elijah was controversial. Yeah, telling the truth is controversial.
Welcome to the Matt Buff Show. It is great to have you with us. Check out thebuffshow.com for past interviews, shows, and more. Also, check us out on Rumble Live, Getter Live, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and The Answer Orlando, AM 950, 94.9 FM. We got a banger show for you tonight. We're going to be answering a lot of questions. So make sure to email the show at info@thebuffshow.com. But our emails are still still down, so we're trying to get those back up. Yeah, GoDaddy, they're working, minutes a day to try to fix it. And then they're on to saving Hunter Biden's emails and Joe Biden's emails and everybody else. So I tell you what, it's just a banger show, and we love having you with us. God bless each and every one of you each and one of you patriots. Almost said patients. We're all kind of patients right now in an America that's being surgically dissected by the left. That is exactly true. Hunter Biden. Okay, Hunter Biden, the plea deal was not good. We all saw that the plea deal was just a bogus garbage way of protecting the Biden crime family. And today, a judge with some really good morals, apparently. I can't wait till they rip this judge apart in the media, by the way. Oh, this had to be a Trump-appointed judge. Oh, this had to be this and that. If that was true, it would have already come out by now. But here's the thing. A judge put out a list of demands that Hunter Biden get a job and do other things as well. But first, let's get to the Biden dog. I mean, everything's corrupt from this family. Even the family pet is corrupt. This dog has bitten so many people. One of them's in the hospital now, and that dog still even the dog is corrupt. Why hasn't that dog been put down? And speaking of put down, why haven't we put Joe Biden out to pasture yet in some nursing home or jail cell where he belongs? Why haven't we ended the Biden crime family corruption? The judge told Hunter Biden, you got to get a job. You got to get a job. Now, does that mean selling oil paintings for access or foreign business influence for access? Does any of that make sense for the job? What are some of the other things that is conditions for his release? And Hunter Biden, who pled guilty for the plea deal, now is pleading not guilty, by the way. They don't know what to do because he's got these liberal lawyers that are probably going to have a future in the DOJ. So the judge was not having it today. Prosecutors tried to quietly slip immunity into Hunter's plea deal, so the deal blew up. The immunity was the killer, the death nail. Delaware judge Mary Ellen Noriega. Oh, yep, a Trump appointee. Somebody who follows the Constitution. Doesn't mean she was out to get the Bidens, but they should be. But a Trump appointee judge said, no. So yes, that news finally broke that it was a Trump appointee. Set new conditions of release for Hunter Biden. Now, we don't know about the gun charge yet, but number one, he's not to possess a firearm. Number two, no use of or possess of any controlled substances, even including marijuana. Illegal substances are not allowed in Hunter Biden's mouth. He can't even sniff Parmesan off the carpet like he used to, unless it's prescribed. He submit to a full federal supervision, no use of alcohol at all. So the cocaine that he left back in the White House, remember Cocaine Gate, where they threw in the towel because it was clearly Hunter's or somebody important. They said they couldn't find it, couldn't find any of that. Well, no cocaine, no alcohol for Hunter. He's got to seek active employment like somebody who's on unemployment benefits. I wonder how lax they're going to be with that. What jobs? Let's ask you, the listening and viewing audience, what jobs do you think would be good for Hunter? Walmart greeter? Car detailing? Maybe you can install solar panels with our client and our great sponsor, All Solar Energy. I don't think they would hire him because they do background checks. And it's got to be a place where if they do background checks, let's see, prostitution, child pornography on your computer, foreign business dealings that were illegal, and shell companies. Yeah, I don't think you can work here. I don't think you can come work here. Seek active employment. I mean, does that include with the federal government? Are they going to make him Secretary of State? Are they going to submit? He's got to submit to testing for prohibited substances. He's also got to participate in substance abuse therapy. That'll be a fun class to go to for real addicts like Hunter to go to. Immediate issuance of an arrest warrant, revocation of release, forfeiture of bond, and prosecution for contempt of court. That are all things that could happen if he fails to live up to these deals. And so, of course, the left media is going to be out there bashing the judge, saying that this is a Trump-appointed judge, so she's out to get the Bidens. How many indictments is Trump under, by the way? 4? Who's out to get who? Who really did something wrong? Who was the people that actually did something wrong? The dog, the Hunter, the Joe, the Jill, the Kamala, all need to go. It's time for the Biden family to take a hike. Yeah, good for that judge for having the gumption to stand up for that and not fall for the whims and willies of the Biden crime family. That's exactly right. 67% of the country want Joe Biden to go away. They want him to go away. 67%. Who are the others? Okay. Who are the others? Who's the other 43 that want him to stay? What has he done for you? What has he done for anyone? Open borders, high gas prices, inflation, baby formula shortages, absolute train wreck of a Department of Energy, Justice, Transportation, DOJ, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, and Border Patrol. Every one of this whole, the Obama third term has really become corrupt, absolutely corrupt. And I'm here to tell you that I've had enough, and people in the media have almost had enough too, because they're asking Karine Jean-Pierre. Now we actually have evidence that Joe Biden profited as vice president and after vice president, God knows how long in the Senate, by his son selling influence, Joe Biden giving influence. And what's Karine Jean-Pierre, the propaganda minister over at the White House, have to say about it?
That nothing has changed when you were asked about the president's previous remarks on his son's business dealings. But the language has in fact changed. So I just want to clear this up once and for all. The president has previously said that he has never discussed overseas business dealings with his son. But the White House now says that the president has never been in business with his son. So
there's a difference.
Why the updated language? Which statement is true? Or is this semantics and they're both true?
As I stated on Monday, when I was asked this question multiple times, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed on this.
Continue.
Nothing has changed on this. And so could ask me a million different ways on this question. Nothing has changed.
Still lie. You can ask me a million different ways on this question, and I'll still lie to you. I will still tell you that Hunter, even though there's pictures of Joe with the Burisma execs and Hunter, even though there's bank statements, even though there's testimony from former business partners that helped set up the shell companies, even though the evidence is overwhelming, even then, nope, nothing has changed. He never spoke to his son about his business dealings. My son works at a gym. He's a trainer. I speak to him about his business dealings. Every parent watching the show or listening to the show speaks to their kid about their business dealings, especially if that kid is putting tens of thousands, even maybe millions of dollars into your pocket. 17 million that we know of so far. And if you didn't speak to your son's business dealings and you still accepted the checks, that still makes you culpable, by the way. The Bidens didn't get rich from middle-class Joe riding the Amtrak every day to work. Nope. So we read you the parameters the judge sets. Who's going to get Hunter out of this one now? Can it lock him up? Lock this guy up. Take Hillary Clinton with you. Now, Adam Schiff lashes out Republicans, right, for floating Biden impeachment inquiry idea. What they're doing is Kevin McCarthy has laid out all the evidence and said that they're going to do an impeachment inquiry to look in this. Adam Schiff, the guy who sat on the floor of the House and Senate and pleaded to impeach Trump over a phone call he had with Zelensky about these very crimes we've been talking about the whole night tonight, about these very crimes, he says, this is unacceptable. Republicans doing this. And Schiff says it's unacceptable. The guy who made up and lied while on the Judiciary Committee made up a story about how Trump called Zelensky and said, we got to get this Biden. He under oath, because if you're sitting there asking the questions, you're under oath too, made up a complete fabricated story of how the things went down. This is before the phone call was released, right? He wanted people to believe a falsehood about the phone call. He made up a fictitious, completely lie of a phone call. Schiff did, and then Trump said, "You know what? We're gonna release the video. Or not the video. We're gonna release the phone call. We're gonna release the phone call, and we're gonna tell you all what really happened." And that shot a hole. And chew. See, I'm allergic to bull. Adam Schiff, the guy who got people together and formed a committee of impeachment attorneys, the impeachment crew, slow walked the impeachment from the House to the Senate where it was shot down. Trump was acquitted. They always say Trump was twice impeached. No, he's twice acquitted. Twice acquitted. And now they got 4 indictments against him. And then Adam Schiff has the nerve, Shifty Shift, I tell you what, has the nerve to be offended by an impeachment inquiry against a family who has documented crimes. Listen to this.
I think the Republican desire to impeach someone, anyone, no matter whether there's any evidence, just shows how they have descended into chaos.
Wait a minute. You got to listen to that again. The guy who tried to impeach Trump or anyone associated for any reason, despite any evidence, just trying to be out to get him, is chaotic. It's wrong. Listen again.
I think the Republican desire to impeach someone, anyone, no matter whether there's any evidence, just shows how they have descended into chaos.
They've descended into chaos. You sat there for hours and hours and made senators and House members listen to you about impeaching Trump because he was out to get Joe Biden. When Trump asked Zelensky, what do you know about this Biden pay-for-play stuff? That's all he did. Zelensky said, we'll look into it. Yeah, that'd be nice if somebody did. Now that it's out there for everyone to see, now that the bank records are out there, Devin Archer testimony, all the testimony from the CIA or from the IRS whistleblowers, the FBI whistleblowers, you can put it all together. Bidens were paid by foreign companies, not because they made a cool little widget. They paid the Bidens for influence. So Joe Biden will do things just like he did this week, just like he did about thinking about removing the tariffs from fentanyl companies in China, taking it easy on China. Ukraine, let's give them millions and millions of dollars. millions of dollars for this proxy war, and let's give it to them. Let's give it to China because they bought and paid for influence, and you better believe it that the Biden crime family is going to give it to you. Like in Game of Thrones, a Lannister always pays his debts. The Bidens always pay their debts. You bought influence, we'll give you influence over America. We'll open the border, so not just illegal immigrants, but Chinese operatives can come into that border too. We'll let you float the balloon. We'll let you float the balloon all the way across the United States, and then we'll shoot it off the ground after you gathered all the information you needed. 67% of Americans don't want Biden there. Who are the other 43? Who are these people? Who knows? They're crazy. But who's going to fill it in? Is it Gavin Newsom or is it Michelle Obama? We're going to dive into all this on the Matt Buff Show. You stay with us after the break. Lots more to come.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. Because of all of you, MyPillow 2.0 has been a huge success, and now we're bringing you our best-selling Go Anywhere MyPillows with the same temperature-regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and brand new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows. Regular $259.92, now only $99.98. King size just $10 more. This is a limited time offer, so please order now.
Don't forget to use promo code BUFF at MyPillow.com. Check it out today. Hey, you may have heard radio show hosts talking trash on solar. Yes, even conservative talk show hosts. There was a silly comparison to trucks running 10,000 miles, carbon emissions, and panel production. It came off as like a liberal argument against a liberal problem. Shallow knowledge as opposed to experts in the field. Politics, global warming, and other environmental concerns aside, the number one reason to buy solar is simple math. Have you looked at your power bill? It has risen in the last 5 years. How much more will it go up in the next 5 years? It's a rigged game, and All Solar Energy empowers you to stop playing a rigged game. A solar electric system freezes your costs and shields you from upcoming rate increases. If you choose to finance a solar electric system, the payment on a system that zeroes out your bill is typically less than your current power bill. This is simple math. Call All Solar Energy in Longwood tomorrow at 866-412-4218 or online at www.allsolarenergy.com. More information on this later in the show.
Are you a public employee? Tired of paying union dues when inflation and gas prices are out of control? Opt out today and keep your money. Over 100,000 American workers already have, and you can too. Visit optouttoday.com to learn more.
Welcome back to the Matt Buff Show. It is great to have you with us. Check out thebuffshow.com for past interviews, shows, and more. Check out mypillow.com. Get a good night's sleep so you don't wake up woke, all right? Use promo code BUFF. Things are flying off the shelves. And we love seeing you all out there on Rumble Live, Getter Live, seeing everybody on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for the likes, and let's see some comments too. And everybody at the AM 950, 94.9 FM, the Ansa Orlando. All right, so we had this weird bit of testimony come out from the trial today of it was the arraignment, I guess. What do you call that? An arraignment of Hunter Biden. The ongoing investigation into Hunter Biden's tax affairs and overseas business dealings has come under increased scrutiny. That's one way to put it. People are waking up to it. You know, I think there was a poll done after the Hunter Biden laptop from hell story came out from the New York Post. Remember that? There was a poll that was done that said if you knew about the Hunter Biden business dealings, right? If you knew about all the stuff that was on the laptop, would you have changed your vote? And a shocking percentage of people said, yes, we had no idea about this because the media, social media, they were all in the cover up. Remember, Twitter censored the laptop story because they didn't want Trump to win. That's it. They didn't want Trump to win. And now the media is paying. We found out that the DOJ, the CIA was paying or transferring information to Twitter saying, don't release this, and Facebook, don't release this. Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook's still in on this, by the way. He's still in on the cover up, censoring people. Our Florida for Trump page. You need to take a day off, Facebook says. That was 2 weeks ago from posting. They said 2 weeks ago. So when you have this amount of people, it was 15-20%, which would have changed the outcome of the election. Forget the mules, forget the fake ballots, forget the ballot dumps after election night, forget them shutting down the polling station in Georgia, forget them just turning off the whole election at 2 a.m. on election night. Forget all that stuff. There was enough Democrats and independents that said if we would have known about that, we wouldn't have voted for Joe Biden. Does that mean they would have voted for Trump? No, but that was a big percentage of them. And if you believe Joe Biden got 81 million votes, I have a bridge to sell you in Kansas. Okay? That is insanity. But prosecutor told Hunter Biden he loved him during U.S. attorney's investigation in the first son. According to a report from Fox News, who will match your donation to the Satanic Temple and pro-abortion groups, that Fox News, a thorough examination of Chief Deputy Attorney General of Delaware, Alexander Snyder, his association with the Biden family, and the investigation into Hunter Biden brings to light a concerning web of relationships that demand deep scrutiny. Mackler's long-standing ties to the Bidens cannot be overlooked. Having served on Joe Biden's legal counsel during his vice presidency and as a press secretary during the former senator's tenure between 2000 and 2008. Jim Baker, the Western Journal, put this out there, and it was picked up by the Gateway Pundit and others. Mackler's long-standing ties with the Bidens cannot be overlooked, having served as Joe Biden's legal counsel during his vice presidency and as press secretary during the former senator's tenure between 2000 and 2008. Perhaps even more significant is the fact that Mackler's stint as assistant U.S. attorney in the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office coincided with the federal inquiry into Hunter Biden's financial affairs. Which, this is deep, man. This web with the Biden crime family and the people that benefited from it and the people that were entangled in it, this makes the Clinton body count look petty. Even though the Clinton body count people died, the Biden body count of people that are just tangled into this web is remarkable. Intriguingly, emails retrieved from Hunter Biden's laptop. We talked about the laptop. Verified by Fox News depict a close relationship between Mackler and Hunter Biden, with Mackler signing off one email with, "Love you, brother." Despite the uncertainty surrounding Mackler's direct role in the investigation, his current position as Deputy Attorney General of Delaware and his multiple visits to the White House during the Biden administration inevitably raises questions about potential conflicts of interest. Notably, one-on-one meetings with Biden and other high-ranking officials further add to the complexity of the situation. The shift has not gone unnoticed by the public, who sees clarity. They seek clarity and transparency in this high-profile investigation. While Attorney General Merrick Garland, who's the biggest culprit ever to sit in the DOJ, stated that investigators had full autonomy in prosecutorial decisions, the lingering perception of bias demands a thorough and transparent inquiry. This has got to be done. This has got to be transparent. We have one judge who says we got to have more, but even the prosecutor has ties to Biden. I mean, what are we doing here? You ever wonder how the sweetheart deal came to be? It takes two to tango. It takes two to tango, and you got to have both sides agree that a sweetheart deal needs to butt. So the judge says, screw you both. All right, go back to the drawing board on this because it's absolutely unimaginably reckless and stupid, and it's just not gonna. It can't happen anymore. It's just stupid how open people supported the Biden crime family, right? Openly fought to tamper down investigations, to hide bank records, to hide all the things that they were doing. High-level officials. These agencies got to be dismantled. DeSantis is right. I hope Trump's on it too. These from the ground up, man, or from the up to the ground, has to be completely redone. And it's just remarkable that people just don't want anything to do with going after the Biden crime family. I mean, the same people that rallied and just absolutely went crazy over Donald Trump and said, we got to get him any way possible. Adam Schiff.
I think the Republican desire to impeach someone, anyone, no matter whether there's any evidence, just shows how they have descended into chaos.
How can that guy, out of everybody on the planet, I'm even talking about the other impeachment managers on the Democrat side, right? Who is that chick Rubio beat bad? The former police chief. You guys know who I'm talking about. Oh, my God. Rubio wins primary. You guys are already saying it. You're yelling at me right now saying, Val Demings. Okay, thank you, Val Demings. Thank you very much. Get her. Thank you. I couldn't think of her name. Even Val Demings didn't go off on this much. She hated Trump. Like most Democrats, like Michelle Obama, who we're going to get to in a minute, she can't even say his name. Can't even say his name. They hate him so much. But Adam Schiff has the nerve to say that Republicans will do anything, even without evidence, to impeach anyone. It's just diving them into chaos. Now, chaos is watching Mitch McConnell, the Republican version of Joe Biden, by the way. He's the Republican version of Joe Biden. Watching Mitch McConnell being led away from the podium, there's nothing to show. I can show you the video. It's just him standing at the podium and somebody moving him over, and he's got this look on his face. Time for him to go, too. Him, all right, let's just recap who needs to go tonight. The Biden dog, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Kamala Harris. We'll put Joy Reid on the list. And Adam Schiff is on the list. And then Mitch McConnell. Welcome to the party, pal. Mitch McConnell, you got to go too. You got to go and go somewhere far away. If it's not prison, if it's not jail for Joe Biden, right? If it's not jail, definitely a retirement home with a nice bike path. Oh, wait a minute. The bike path's a bad idea too. What are we going to do about the bike path? The bike path doesn't work either. He can drive, put the documents that he stored in his garage and drive up to Canada and retire there. This guy can't make it. Take all the crime family stuff away. Take it all away. This guy's a walking, talking moron. Did you see how big the teleprompters are right now? Did you see how the font on these teleprompters? You see the Buff Show logo behind me here? See how big the letters are? The font is bigger than that for the Joe Biden teleprompter, and he still messes it up. So they send out Jill Biden and Kamala Harris to campaign for him. Besides all the crime family stuff, he's just too old and decrepit, and his mind is gone. Like they said, the hamster wheel's turning, but the mouse had died. And then so the hamster wheel has slowed down. And remember back in the day where Joe Biden said, well, I told that prosecutor, son of a bitch. They fired the prosecutor. So we sent the money to Ukraine. Remember he's covering for Hunter? We called him an idiot back then. We called him a gaff machine back then. That guy's gone. Go back to the 70s where he was lying about his college transcript. The red grainy footage of Joe Biden getting interviewed about how he lied about being at the top of his class. Go back to then. He even said, I'm dumb. I'm the dumbest person I know. Back then, that was the 70s. He was a gaff machine and a liar and a crook back then. The 70s. The fire at the house, lie. The car crash, lie. Beau Biden didn't die in Iraq, lie. Decades and decades of corruption. And now you have what's left as an empty shell. And that's why that 43% of Democrats love him. They want to keep him there so he can sign stuff. He doesn't know what it is. They put the Green New Deal in front of him, called it the Inflation Reduction Act. He'll sign it. He's an empty shell. Take away all that stuff. This guy is toast. He's done. He is gone. He can't even campaign. This is the non-existent campaign. This is worse than him hiding in the basement. At least they spent some money, did an event with a few honking cars in the parking lot, a few circles on the gym floor. At least a few of those happening. Nothing. Now they're sending out Jill Biden to Europe. Campaigning for Joe Biden in Europe makes a lot of sense. Says a lot of bull crap there about how he brought people together when he's done none of that. The far left Democrat machine, this is why a lot of Democrats are sick of them, is because they are targeting certain Americans as problematic, like the Jason Aldean Americans. Try that in a small town, Biden. Come down to a small town and try to denigrate everybody like you did on the red stage. Remember the red stage with the guards behind him? Looked like something out of Revenge of the Sith. So Jill Biden in Europe. And what the hell is Kamala Harris doing in my state? Kamala Harris in Florida. All right. You've heard the news reports about how she said that there was benefits to slavery and that we put that in our curriculum. And DeSantis needs to own this, by the way. The curriculum was actually pretty fantastic. If you have to do black studies, if you have to do black history, it's saying that there are many great stories of former slaves in America who went on to do great things. Have you seen the movie Glory? Went on to fight for this country, went on to be inventors, went on to create businesses. So our curriculum says that some slaves had the ingenuity, right? Had the wherewithal to go out there and make something of themselves. They weren't victims. They didn't hang themselves. They didn't wallow down in the mud, because the Democratic Party at the time wasn't trying completely to get them, wasn't trying to coddle them and tell them they always needed to be victims. The Democratic Party at the time was trying to keep them as slaves. They wanted to keep them as indentured slaves. Nobody in the media is talking about that. They wanted to keep the black people as slaves. So a Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, signed the Emancipation. We don't need Juneteenth. We need, the Emancipation. And said, you're free. Go out there. And the Democrats were fighting it. Democrats were fighting it hard. Said, go out there and make something of yourself. So a lot of the slaves that had learned skills for one way or the other went and expanded on that skill and made something of themselves and created a life for themselves and their families. That's what history in Florida is like. So Kamala Harris, who's about as stupid as they come, so dumb they got to put actors in front of her and say, talk about the moon, actor kids, talk about the moon. And they're running Biden's campaign on racial divide, Jason Aldean, was talking about violence in that song, so he's talking about black people. So you're a racist if you say that, because you're saying that if he's talking about violence and your first thought is black people, that means you think black people are violent. So racial divide, abortion on demand, right? We want to bring back abortion in everywhere we can. So death and destruction and divide. Death, destruction, and divide. They want to do that here. That's what Kamala says when she says, and you've heard the clips. Do you really make me play the shrill, shrieking, annoying voice of Kamala Harris? I'll just tell you what she said. We're trying to say that there was benefits to slavery. That's what she said. There's benefits to slavery. No. A slave who became a former slave found a benefit in what he learned to do and went out and expanded on that for his own life. What he was forced to do, he took what he was forced to do, and turned it into something productive. Now, that is remarkable. Make a movie about that instead of people whimpering in a corner and saying, oh, we'll never be better. There's still blacks today on TV saying we're still oppressed. Whoopi in The View and them on The View. The biggest problem in America is people are under a boot. What people? Kamala Harris was Indian. Now she's black as the vice president. Barack Obama was a mixed kid, but now he's black, was the president. Michelle Obama. What did you think of America? Michelle Obama, were you ever proud of this country?
First time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country.
Okay. First time in her adult lifetime that she was ever proud of her country is when her husband was winning primaries across the state. Well, I didn't think that would be possible in Louisiana and Washington and stuff like that. Obama was sold as a messiah. He was sold as a bill of goods. He was sold as hope and change, hope and change, hope and change, hope and change. A complete bill of goods. Obama did so much damage to this country. If you ever watch Shark Tank, you want to know how much Obama did to this country, what bad things he did? Watch Shark Tank from 2009 to 2013. And over every single episode, you'll hear how awful the recession is, how awful the economy is. He tried to radically transform America, and now he's finishing the job under the guise of Joe Biden. But they can't run on policy. Karine Jean-Pierre goes out there and says inflation's going down. No evidence at all. She always says, I can't speak to that. I can't comment on that. I can't speak to any of this. I can't do hypotheticals. But she says, we see inflation going down. Well, that's a hypothetical, because if you say you see that it's going to happen in the future, it's hypothetically never going to happen. So Obama brought death and destruction to businesses, lives, and babies. Now they're finishing it off with his third term. Susan Rice back there pulling levers. I got you. But now the country is sick of it. And we told you from the beginning, go back 3 years, we told you stolen elections have consequences. And now you're at the gas pump going, what the hell, man? Now you're going to the store and going, what the hell, man? Now you're buying baby formula. What the hell, man? Now you're trying to get something shipped to you. What the hell, man? Now you're trying to get health insurance. All right. Open enrollment coming up in October. You're trying to get health insurance. We live in a socialized medicine country right now. You understand? You got to check with the government first before you get health insurance. Thanks for nothing, John McCain. I too like soldiers who weren't captured. You have Obamacare as the law of the land, right? We have socialized medicine in America right now. And now they're trying to finish the job of radically transforming America into a socialist country. Wait until you try to go shop health insurance on October 7th, October 15th. October 15th, when the marketplace opens up, go try to shop for health insurance. And you tell me, come back to the show and tell me we don't live in we have socialized medicine in this country, because we do. The costs for every American in this country, forget the water heaters, gas stoves, refrigerators, toasters, whatever else they're trying to come after. And then their excuse is, this doesn't take effect till 2029. We have to win the next election to get rid of all these mandates that are coming down. They're trying to make it 2029 because that's when Biden is either 947 years old or he's completely done. They want all these mandates that they're putting in place now to hit in 2029, 2030. All right. They want to do it after they're gone. So these mandates hit, and every American will be punished by the IRS for not incorporating a new water heater, for not incorporating a new dishwasher, for not incorporating a green new stove. They're putting all these things. They're finishing off the transformation of America. They're doing all these things to make sure that your life is suffering and changing forever, and that you have to pay out the nose. If you don't, we're going to punish you with high electric bill prices in 2029 after we're gone. But they don't want Obama. They don't want Biden anymore. They do want Obama. I meant to say Biden. they don't want Biden anymore because they don't think he can win. So who can they bring? Is it Gavin Newsom? Or is it somebody you're not thinking of? We're going to take a break on the Matt Buff Show, and we'll be right back because we have Roger Stone coming up on the show. And he's going to talk about his theory on why Michelle Obama will be running. All right, so stay with us. A lot more to come.
It's time to convert and sell more with the best tools made for small, medium, and large businesses to grow online. With JJC Marketing Solutions, you can grow with do-it-yourself, easy website and funnel builder, or they will build it for you. More options at your fingertips with JJC Marketing Solutions. Not only do you get the best state-of-the-art website, but also comprehensive sales funnels, CRM tools, and powerful search engine optimization. No matter where you are, they can help you grow your business with affordable online marketing solutions. Get weekly reports, dashboard access, and full transparency to see how your keywords are growing. Start building your online presence today. JJCMarketingSolutions.com. That's JJCMarketingSolutions.com.
You heard about the simple math with a solar electric system earlier in the show. Not all homes qualify. An energy evaluation by a qualified professional to get the fully informed information is always recommended. If your home qualifies, solar is always a prudent financial move. All Solar Energy in Longwood has been educating homeowners, roofing companies, property management firms, and now radio hosts about solar for 22 years. We have experts to perform no cost, no obligation energy evaluations to see if your home qualifies and explain the simple math of solar. Call All Solar Energy tomorrow at 866-412-4218 or visit the website www.allsolarenergy.com. Let them know you heard about it from me, Matt Buff, on The Buff Show.
Cost of living is skyrocketing, and paychecks just can't keep up. But if you're lucky enough to be a public employee, you can give yourself a raise. Visit optouttoday.com and stop paying union dues. We've helped over 100,000 public employees just like you opt out and save an average of $1,000 per year. Opt out today and put more food, fuel, and fun back into your life. It's your money. You earned it. Visit optouttoday.com.
Welcome back to the Matt Buff Show. We gave you the history of the Biden crime family. Now it's time to move forward to 2024. And Joe Biden, the family, the crime family, they're toast. They're toast. So who are Democrats looking at? Right? Who are they looking at? I mean, are they looking at this guy? The guy who said the real Anthony Fauci? That would be Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Are they looking at Gavin Newsom? He messed up California pretty good. Maybe he could finish the job. Or are they looking at somebody like Michelle Obama, who, oh my goodness, talk about stoking race relations in America. Let's go to Roger Stone on the Matt Buff Show. Welcome back to the Stone Zone. Great to have you, Roger.
Matt, great to be with you. I've been talking about this for some time. I really believe that the combination of the impact of Joe Biden's disastrous policies, the highest gas prices we have known, 76% increase in the cost of basic groceries, if you can even find food, because we have epic food shortages, crippling inflation, shipping billions to Ukraine while there are 370,000 homeless veterans in this country. When you combine that with Biden's inability to string together a coherent sentence, falling down, making a fool of himself, clearly doesn't even know where he is. And now you add the incredible crimes that we can now document: extortion, bribery, money laundering, influence peddling, illegal lobbying, and let's just say it, treason. Biden crime family members, including Joe himself, taking millions from China, Russia, Ukraine, Romania. This is just too heavy a burden for the Democrats to bear. So I believe that the de facto leader of the Democratic Party, the de facto president of the United States today, Barack Obama, the man who told Stephen Colbert, yeah, it'd be great. I could stay in my basement wearing my sweats, have a microphone hooked up to the president's ear and get my third term. That's exactly what's happening today. So all these developments in America, open borders, the disaster in Afghanistan, the war in Ukraine, these are all the policies of the real president, Barack Obama. I think Barack is ready to give Joe the hook. Joe's on the skids. Here's how we know. When CBS and the New York Times start actually reporting on the Biden family corruption instead of covering it up, the signal has been given. Joe Biden will either be pressured into resigning, will pardon himself and his brother and his son and other key members of the Biden crime family. And if he and Jill refuse to go because Jill wants to use the curtains and the tablecloths to make her next dress, well, then they will force him out under the 25th Amendment. Here's how that works. A majority of the cabinet and the sitting vice president can remove the president with a simple vote. Barack Obama can line that up in 2 hours because he had picked this cabinet. And of course, that would make Kamala Harris president of the United States very briefly. Now, within their party, you can't replace a woman of color with a white man, like, say, Gavin Newsom, but you can replace a woman of color with a much more popular woman of color, Michelle Obama. Every time she says, no, she's not interested in, I hate politics, I become more sure that is the proof that that's what they're going to do.
Remarkable. I'm going to bring somebody on who agrees with you, who wrote the film Michelle Obama 2024 and has a really phenomenal documentary about this. But real quick, Roger, before I bring him on, one of your highlights from your speech that you gave, you've been doing some great speeches, man, great speeches. And one of the highlights was Chris Christie needs to run, not for president. He just needs to run. I thought that was phenomenal.
Yeah, people need to understand Chris Christie as a U.S. attorney essentially gave a very, very lucrative monitoring contract to a prosecutor in return for giving Christie's brother a pass on an insider trading case in which he should have gone to jail. Chris Christie is a crook in the New Jersey tradition. His fat ass needs to be in jail right now, in my opinion. So this idea that he's Mr. Clean, forget that right now. And he's got he has no rationale for his case. Revenge. He's running for revenge.
It's not even a question.
Going nowhere fast.
Yeah, if he somehow Fox News loves him, so they put him on the debate stage, he's toast after that. And I don't want to say toast around Chris Christie because it makes his mouth water. But yeah, he's done after that. All right, Joe Gilbert joins us on the show as well. There's the poster behind him, Michelle Obama 2024. When I got your promo, Joe, there it is. There's the DVD right there. And it's a compelling documentary. I want everybody to check it out. And then Roger, he was going to quote you on the show tonight about what you just said, but I thought it'd be great to have you both and talk about this. And you now, Joel, welcome to the show. Tell everybody about the documentary and tell why you back up what Roger just said.
Yeah, great to be here. Great to be here with Roger. Quite an honor. Look, I've been following the Obamas for years, and I noticed when they left the White House, Michelle started copying exactly what Barack Obama did to become president. Barack had a voter registration organization in Chicago called Project Vote. Michelle started a voter registration organization called When We All Vote. Barack wrote 2 autobiographies, Dreams from My Father and The Audacity of Hope, before running for president. Michelle wrote 2 autobiographies, Becoming and The Light We Carry. And Barack was the keynote speaker for John Kerry in 2004, introduced the candidate at the Democrat Party convention. Sure enough, Michelle, there she was introducing Joe Biden at the 2020 convention. I think the Democrat Party has set it up for Michelle. They moved the primary from Iowa, where she would have had to campaign in 100 counties, to South Carolina, a state that has about 50% of the Democrat Party primary electorate are African American. It's also a state that Michelle claims to be her adopted home state because her grandparents are from South Carolina, and she used to go there as a kid for family reunions. And of course, the Democrat Party convention is, of all places, in Chicago. So I'm predicting, like Roger, a hometown girl convention next August.
Roger, your thoughts on that? Because everything you just said was backed off by the history dating way back to the community organizing stuff.
Well, Joel Gilbert is one of the most important documentary filmmakers in the country. He is meticulous in his research. He made the very famous film Banished, the Danny Williams story, which exposed the fact that Bill Clinton had an illegitimate son that Hillary Clinton banished from his life and tried to erase from history. If you haven't seen it, you really should. And he's absolutely one of the first people in the country to see what I have seen, which is the Obamas will continue their control of the Democratic Party, and they hope to continue their control of the country through the candidacy of Michelle Obama. Now, when she says, I hate politics, that means she's definitely running. When she says, I have no interest whatsoever, that means she will be a candidate. This is how politics works. In other words, it's the exact opposite of what they say. And as Joel just said, they essentially canceled the Iowa caucuses that are traditionally first in the country. They essentially canceled the New Hampshire primary. By stripping both of those states from their delegates, they try to make those contests meaningless, to move to South Carolina, a state where there's a majority among primary voters are, as Joel said, African American, and which essentially Michelle claims as a second home because her grandparents. This whole schedule is a setup for Michelle Obama. But here's the important thing, Matt, and I think Joel would agree with this. Do not think she won't be a formidable candidate. Do not think that she will be easy to beat. I've had Joel on the Stone Zone, and he nailed this. The only way you beat her is not by making fun of her sexual orientation, but by exposing that she's a fraud. She did not grow up on the South Side. She did not grow up poor. She is not, she is not some downtrodden poor person who was raised up. She's an elitist. In terms of white flight, she caused white flight. She's the one who drove poor black people out of their homes in Chicago. So the real Michelle Obama has to be exposed for the phony that she is. And that is the only way we're going to beat her.
Joel, you talked about that. I know you want to touch on that point, but I also got to throw in the Trump factor because they see Trump as an enemy. They see him as an enemy. The 4 indictments might not work. So they know Joe might not have it in him. They're going to look anywhere they can. And why not look right there at home?
Yeah, well, look, Michelle Obama is probably the most popular person in the country, if not the world. She's had 15 years of all positive publicity, hundreds of talk shows, hundreds of magazine covers. And
still today.
Yeah. And but as Roger said, look, black voters are no fools. If they understood that Michelle is someone that exploited the black community in her professional career, she knocked down their homes and gave away the land at Cabrini Green. She knocked down the homes and made 20,000 blacks homeless working for the mayor of Chicago. then having proven how callous she was, the University of Chicago Medical Center hired her to deal with their problems with Black people. The Southsiders were using the emergency room, and a lot of them didn't have insurance. So Michelle's job was to kick them out, put them in these vans, and ship them back to the South Side to these crappy clinics where they couldn't get good health care. So Michelle exploited the Black community and made millions of dollars. As a child, she got beat up by the other Black kids. They accused her of acting white and talking white. They called her an Oreo. She writes about getting in a fist fight in her book with a girl who called her an Oreo, which is a major insult. It means you're Black on the outside but white on the inside. So Michelle's life story is running away from the Black community, exploiting them. But for politics, she pretends to be one of these ordinary Black folks. Oh, I suffered discrimination. Michelle went to Paris with her French club in high school. I didn't go to Paris. She was in a dance class from age 7, learning jazz and tap. Her father was a politician, a Democrat Party precinct captain. She ends up marrying a politician. So Michelle is very political. She's a better speaker than Barack. She's a better politician than Barack. She comes across more authentic, and she'll be very difficult to beat. But I do think, I agree with Roger, the key is to expose her to the Black community that she's been trying to fool all these years with these phony urban accents and phony stories of having been discriminated against in her youth.
Now, Roger, let me kick it over to you on that point right there. Maybe to me, it's not the Black community that we need to worry about with a Michelle Obama candidacy. It's the white liberal.
Well, actually, I'm not sure I agree with that. I mean, Hillary Clinton really lost because she underperformed with Black people. That's because, thanks to Joel Gilbert and I, Black people learned that Michelle Obama was the one who basically banished her husband's Black son. And therefore, in places like Detroit and Milwaukee and Philadelphia, for example, she ran 3 to 4 points behind where Barack Obama had run. And that's why she was defeated. Donald Trump did slightly better among African Americans. He actually will do much better among African Americans. You have to remember that in a close race, 2 points, 3 points, while it doesn't sound like much, it may sound incremental. When you only won Michigan by 25,000 votes in the last election, performing better in the city of Detroit by a couple points is the difference. The truth is, African Americans elected Donald Trump in 2016. You can see it in 4 swing states. That is, you're not going to move those white liberals, actually. I do think when people know the truth about Michelle Obama and her love for couture and her elitism, I'm very curious about this story regarding the death of her chef who drowned in 8 feet of water. Something doesn't add up here. I don't know anything particularly other than the fact that they keep changing their story. And that is in itself suspicious to me.
For our radio listeners, you'll have to catch the rest of this roundtable on the Rumble channel, Matt Buff Show on Rumble. Joe Gilbert, over to you on that. You know anything about the chef story?
Well, actually, I pulled the police incident report. I pulled it from Edgartown right here. And what's interesting is every police call and report is listed here, and it has an event that's listed along with the address. Now, the event at the Obama's house, it's blank. And if you can see that, there's nothing listed. It's blank.
That. Yeah.
It's blank. So that kind of shows you that there's an official kind of lockdown on the information. Why would it be left blank? So we don't know if this chef was contacting a book agent or, but we certainly know that a chef who's been with the Obamas from the White House years and they adopted him, took him out of the White House to their home, would certainly know about everything. So it's very curious. It's one of these Clinton-esque mysteries where somebody dies mysteriously and the story keeps changing. The Obamas weren't in Martha's Vineyard. Oh, they were in Martha's Vineyard, but they weren't at the house. Well, on Martha's Vineyard, you can't go very far away. You can be a mile away at the most. It's a small island. So the Obamas were very much there, and I don't know if we'll ever know the real story.
It reminds me, Roger, of Joan Rivers, how she mysteriously died after the tranny comment. I mean, there's just a lot of, when it comes to the Bidens, the Clintons, and the Obamas, they're all running off the same playbook here.
Well, look, nobody knows more about the Obamas than Joel Gilbert. He's a meticulous researcher. Nothing he's ever published or put on film is false. And he knows more about them than anything else. I do think that they have designs to retake the White House. They actually de facto have it now. Look, Joe Biden was not their first choice. They tried to prop up the candidacy of Cory Booker. That didn't cut it. They tried to prop up the candidacy of Kamala Harris. That didn't cut it. They even tried to prop up the candidacy of Pete Buttigieg. In the end, they settled for Joe, one, because they knew about his thievery and they knew they could control him. Also, They knew he was slipping mentally, and that would make him easier to control. But let's remember, it was Barack Obama himself who said, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to F things up. That's a direct quote.
Yeah,
and it's
that's true.
Educated. So they knew what they were getting. He's easily controllable. Look at his top aides. Susan Rice, she came from Barack Obama, for example. Everybody around him is an Obama person. Nobody around him comes from his original circle. Ron Klain, who worked for him in the Senate, is now gone, replaced by an Obama person. So when Barack Obama decides to implode the Biden presidency, which I predict will happen by the end of the year because the filing deadlines for these various Democratic contests in the primaries and caucuses essentially happen in December. Let me also say this. Robert Kennedy is a major problem for them. Despite their very best efforts to censor him and to limit his public access, his candidacy has real intensity because it's interesting and because he can defend his points of view. Here's a historical footnote. No incumbent president who has faced but turned back a serious challenge for renomination has gone on to be reelected. It's very bad news for Joe Biden. Robert Kennedy is making ground despite the fact that CBS and ABC and NBC and MSNBC and CNN and the others in the fake news media, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal. There was a time, by the way, when they were actually journalistic publications. Now they're just propaganda fronts for the government. Despite their very best efforts, Robert Kennedy is getting traction. He wants to close our southern border. He's for health freedom. He thinks every individual should choose whether or not they want to take a vaccination. He is opposed to going to nuclear war in Ukraine. He's changed his position on the Second Amendment because of his position on vaccinations. He now recognizes that every American has a right to own a firearm. This guy's making serious traction. And that's why they tried to take him out with this false smear that he's anti-Semitic. It's a vile lie.
They always do that.
He spoke to a group of reporters off the record. They were discussing one particular study which reaches a conclusion that for some reason Asians and people who are Jewish had a lower death rate than others. He didn't advocate it. It wasn't his study. He wasn't pushing the idea. He merely, within the context of discussion, it was one of many studies discussed. A reporter, an unscrupulous reporter with the New York Post, who knew they were off the record, decided to jackpot him and make it a big story. But Robert Kennedy is not anti-Semitic. In fact, he's the only Democrat opposed to giving $2 billion to the genocidal anti-Israel regime in Iran. So how anti-Semitic is that?
Well, that's the first card they play, Roger. If they have no other argument, they do it to Trump. They do it to Kennedy. They do it to anybody they don't like. They do it to Jason Aldean. Anybody they don't like, oh, they must be a racist.
Yeah, it really is the first line of offense.
Yeah. I would say that RFK Jr. is really picking up a lot of support of the anti-Biden crowd, which is pretty much all the Democrats. So I think that's why he's polling well. And I think he's really leaning, as Roger said, more libertarian in a lot of his views, which certainly doesn't fit in the modern far left progressive party. So I think Michelle Obama solves that problem when she announces, which I predict will be in November, which is when Biden will drop out for any number of reasons. It could be health or he's being impeached or you name it. And Michelle will brush aside RFK Jr. I think she also solves the plausibility problem that the Democrats have. If they were to say that Joe Biden is leading in all the swing states in the polls, no one believes it. If they say Joe Biden won on election night, no one believes it. If they say Michelle Obama is ahead or she won, you'd say, well, I guess I believe it because she's so popular.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, because Roger, I want to get your take on this too, and then Joel, I'll get a follow up for you on that one too. When you talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr., 14 points doesn't bother him. He is out on a mission right now. So, Roger, if Biden's out and Michelle is in, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I don't think is going anywhere, and I don't think Michelle in the real world, and Joel, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she's as popular as the media is making her out to be.
Well, I think she's very popular. That's because she's viewed as being outside politics. By the way, Donald Trump was universally loved before he got in politics. Black people loved him. Democrats loved him. Blue collar people loved him.
Right.
Until he got into politics, he became more polarizing. So I think she is very popular in the country, but she, on the other hand, nobody knows where she stands on any major issue. And she's untested as a candidate. So that remains to be seen. The real question is, what defined victory for Robert Kennedy? His prospects of being nominated for president in the modern Democratic Party were thin to begin with. He is fighting the orthodoxy of his party. It's a party owned by Big Pharma. It's a party financed by Big Pharma. It is a party that has abandoned capitalism. Remember this: John F. Kennedy was an ardent anti-communist. He favored a massive national defense buildup. He was a deep federal tax cutter. He favored a silver-backed dollar, and he had a deep distrust of our current intelligence agencies. If John F. Kennedy were alive today, he'd be a Republican. He'd have to be, because there is no constituency in the modern Democratic Party for those beliefs. A majority of Democrats today do not believe in the capitalist system, do not believe in free enterprise. They prefer socialism. What they really prefer is authoritarian communism. So I think his candidacy is a valiant act of patriotism. I think that victory is defined as strong, much stronger showings than people expect. They're going to kneecap him the way they kneecap Bernie Sanders, but for different reasons. They knew Bernie was unelectable in a general election, that he was another George McGovern. They needed someone they could control. Bernie turns out to be controllable, but only with money. And that is why they settled for Joe Biden. No one thought Joe Biden was up to this job. They still don't think he's up to this job, but he's extraordinarily controllable. Now, unfortunately, he's spinning out of control because the guy can't put together a coherent sentence. And his epic stealing as vice president is coming back to bite them. I suspect the Obamas didn't even know it was this bad. But this guy has received millions of dollars from China, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, and elsewhere. He put the vice presidency for sale. You know what kind of people the Bidens are. Here's how I know. I know people in Delaware. Joe and his wife stiff the little people, barbers, dentists, landscapers, grocers. They don't pay their bills. They take the goods, but they don't pay their bills. And their attitude is, oh, if you don't like it, sue me. These people, they're not of the working people. They abuse working people. I could put together a dynamite 60-second TV commercial of small merchants and small business people, men and women, that the Bidens have just stiffed because they don't care about anything other than themselves. Joe Biden's delusional. He thinks that he's a Kennedy. He thinks he's royalty. He is shanty Irish. He's trash. He's
William Taft. Yeah,
he's garbage. And he was cheating on his deceased wife with his current wife. That is a fact.
All right, Joel, back to the popularity question. I should have clarified a little more. When she's on a ballot, when she has to defend issues, I think the shine comes off quite a bit.
Well, I think, first of all, I think Michelle will repeat what she said when she introduced Joe Biden in 2020 when she runs for president. She was introducing Biden and she said, you know, I hate politics, but I love this nation and I love your children. And I said, ooh, that's what she's going to say. So she's going to come in as an outsider, much like Donald Trump, and say, well, you know, I had a great life, but I want to help everybody. She'll appeal to nostalgia. Remember, during the Obama years, we didn't have any scandals. I was at the YouTube theater when she did that interview with Oprah that's now on Netflix. And it was like a campaign event. 20,000 people, 4,000 people came 2 hours early and just screamed and danced and yelled for Michelle. It was a campaign stop. And she appeals to that nostalgia of the Obama years that the Democrats so dearly love. You might remember the saddest piece of videotape in presidential history is when Obama went to the White House last year, and he was mobbed by all the staffers who were his staffers. They were all touching him and reaching out and laughing. Biden was wandering around behind him and tapped Barack on the shoulder. Obama didn't even turn around, and Biden kept wandering around. Very sad looking. But Michelle, she'll say, look, I have 8 years experience navigating the White House. I met 100 world leaders. I met, this leader and that leader, and I negotiated this and that. You might not remember that Michelle was the co-candidate in 2008. It's in my film. You can see it. She says, Barack and I, our campaign, what we're going to do in the White House. She was speaking to huge audiences of 5,000, 10,000 people on her own every night, saying the nastiest things about the country. You can't buy food in this country. You can't afford health care. Don't get sick in this country. You can't pay your mortgage. And she went over the top one night and said, for the first time in my life, I'm proud of my country because Barack won a primary. And suddenly the media paid attention. Now, she said a lot worse things than that, but they paid attention. And that's when the campaign said to her, look, people are going to hate you like they hate Hillary. You have to take a step back. So she said, okay, I hate politics and I just want to be the mom in chief. And so she kind of went underground a little bit, and she's kept it up for years, that she's the forever first lady. That's what they call her now. So I think she's able to make a case that want to bring back the Obama years, and you'll get 2 for 1, me and Barack in the White House. And I think that's what Democrats want. She's the best loved Democrat. She's the most popular person in the country. I don't see a whole lot of obstacles unless the Black community understands and realizes how much she exploited them and how much she ran away from them as a kid in Chicago, and how much money and millions of dollars she made to take away their access to health care.
I'm going to play 2 clips for everyone. And the second clip I want to get your guys' take on, but this is reference to what Joel just said.
For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country.
Never been proud of her country before until they started giving Obama some delegates. And then here's the other clip. Now, this is going back to the inauguration of Donald Trump the first time. It should have been 2, but let's go back to the first one and listen closely to what Michelle Obama says on her podcast.
Michelle Obama says she cried for 30 minutes after she left the White House for the last time, calling it, quote, uncontrollable sobbing, in her new podcast, The Light Podcast.
After the inauguration, and we know whose inauguration we were at.
Number one, she can't say Trump's name.
That day was so emotional on so many different reasons. We were leaving the home we had been in for 8 years, the only home our kids really knew. They remembered Chicago, but they had spent more time in the White House than anywhere. So we were saying goodbye to the staff and all the people who helped to raise them. There were tears. There was that emotion. But then to sit on that stage and watch the opposite of what we represented on display. There was no diversity. There was no color on that stage. There was no reflection of the broader
Wait a minute, Michelle was on that stage, but
sense of America. And many people took pictures of me and they like, you weren't in a good mood. No, I was not.
So there's plenty to break down there. Joel, I'll kick it to you first and then go over to Roger, because I know you analyzed this in your movie.
This is Michelle trying to use race to get power and attention. And her career is in politics. It's manipulating minorities and the Black community with these phony stories and phony kvetches of suffering from racism. Michelle was afraid of Black people growing up. They would beat her up. She got beat up by a kid she writes in her book for calling her an Oreo, which means you're Black on the outside, you're really white girl on the inside. They accused her of acting white and talking white. Instead of going to a high school 1 block from her house, all Black South Shore High School, her and her brother went to private schools with all white kids. So the Robinson family was doing white flight in the 70s, or running away from Black people. So Michelle creates these phony stories, and that's her biggest problem. She really doesn't understand Black people. She never had Black friends. So she tries to pretend to be, I'm just one of these ordinary Black folks. She's been telling this story for 15 years, for example, about her high school counselor racially profiling her regarding her application to Princeton University. She even told Gayle King recently, she said, the counselor told me, you're Black, maybe you're stretching going to Princeton. Well, in my research, I found out her high school counselor was a church-going black woman named Nan King, was also an assistant principal. There's no way she racially profiled her. But Michelle doesn't know really how to deal with the black community except to exploit them or run away from them. So that's why she goes over the top with these phony stories. You might remember when Barack ran for president, the 60 Minutes interview in 2008, she said, well, Barack is a black man. He could get shot just going to the gas station. Well, and even Barack laughed. It was so dumb. But if you do get shot going to the gas station in Chicago, it might be by a black gang member. But her implication was white people will shoot you down if you're black. So she goes to these extremes because she's so insecure with her relationship with black people. And you're going to hear a lot more of this racial nonsense from her, I believe, when she announces for president.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think some of that speech is going to be in that announcement, some of that podcast right there, Roger, because she talks about Trump as the opposition, can't name him. And while Trump was on stage, there was no diversity. And number 4, the big point was they're taking pictures of her. They're all looking at her instead of Trump. That's what I think she was saying right there.
Well, I think it's actually somewhat disingenuous because, in all honesty, the Obamas despised the Clintons far more than they ever despised Donald Trump. The Bidens are well aware of the fact that the entire question about Barack Obama's birth certificate was originally raised by Hillary Clinton.
Right.
It's the brainchild of Sidney Blumenthal. They started it. They pushed it in the Democratic primaries. The man, Larry Sinclair, who came forward to claim that he'd had sex with Barack Obama. You'll find his name in the Federal Election Commission reports paid by Hillary Clinton's campaign. So all of the anti-black, all of the anti-Obama tropes in the contest between the Obamas and the Clintons were paid for by the Clintons. And Bill Clinton famously said he was sick of Bill Clinton poking him in the chest and telling him what to do. In fact, Barack Obama thinks that Bill Clinton is a cracker, and he's right. So there's no love between these people. Trust me. They may have had mutual interests, but they were not all that unhappy that the Clintons did not succeed them in the White House. Now you're in a different place, and I agree with Joel. What she says is racist. She is the racist. She is the one who seeks to divide us racially. The way that you unite people is by increasing black employment, by increasing black opportunity, by increasing black enterprise through black capitalism. The black people I know, they don't want just a job. They don't want to be employees. They want to be employers. They want a piece of the American dream. Black unemployment dropped to the lowest point in American history under Donald Trump. And when it comes to social justice, when it comes to criminal justice reform, that was brought to you by not the Democrats, but by Donald Trump. So it was Joe Biden and Bill Clinton who passed the weaponized war on drugs. The war on drugs, originally put forward by President Richard Nixon, was aimed at drug traffickers and drug kingpins. But the harsh mandatory penalties for the first time nonviolent possession of drugs for personal use, which has fallen disproportionately on black people, that is the responsibility of Joe Biden, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, and Bill Clinton, who signed it into law. They are the racists. That is a racist policy. Under federal drug law, the mandatory penalties for the possession of rock cocaine are far more harsh than they are for powdered cocaine. I'm sorry. That's racist. There's racism right there. Joe Biden, Bill Clinton.
Let's go back a couple hundred years, Joel, when a former black slave who was forced to do a trade or do a job as a slave took that trade to his benefit and created a business or created a life for himself. That is not somebody who's oppressed. That's somebody who should be celebrated. While he was doing that, the Democrats at that time were trying to keep them as slaves. Fast forward to yesterday with Kamala Harris. I'm going to get to your question. I just got to get this out because Roger got me fired up. Fast forward to yesterday in Florida, where Kamala Harris is talking about how we need to keep black people thinking they're oppressed. That's the Democratic platform in 2024, that you're still oppressed and we can take care of you. 200 years, the Democratic Party hasn't changed.
Well, look, today the Democrat Party is so desperate, partially because of Donald Trump and all that he did for the black community, in contrast to the Obamas who did nothing for black people except for divide the races. They're trying to put the face of black people on major positions. A UN ambassador is a black woman, Speaker of the House, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, on, go down the list. They always nominate.
The minister, the press secretary, yeah.
Press secretary. They nominate and put in positions of power black people to try to convince the black community that we're on your side. We're just like you. These are people that look like you. Therefore, our failed policies are going to benefit you. You ought to vote for us. So it certainly makes sense that they're ready for Michelle Obama, who checks all those boxes. She's a black female, and that's the direction they're going to keep the black community in line to vote for the Democrat ticket, which was escaping them when Trump was so successful.
I want to do a last word to each of you. Thank you guys for staying way past the time that you allotted for us on the show tonight. I appreciate that. I want to get your final word, right? Your last thoughts, and I want to know where you think this Hunter thing is going. Whatever you want to discuss in your last moments here, and then your over under odds, Vegas odds on Michelle Obama actually being the Democratic nominee. Odds. Go ahead, Roger Stone.
First of all, I think Joe Biden is indeed toast. Hopefully, Chris Christie won't eat that toast because he eats everything in his wake.
Call back to the beginning.
I think that there is probably an 8 in 10 chance that Michelle Obama will be the Democratic Party nominee. I think that there's a 90% chance that Joe Biden will be removed before the filing deadlines at the end of the year. Hunter had a very bad day today. His sweetheart deal blew up. I don't understand why we're talking about 2 tax charges and a gun charge, which he essentially was not going to pay any penalty for. The left tries to say, oh, Roger Stone got a sweetheart deal from the IRS. Let me talk about that for 30 seconds. I owe $2 million to the IRS from 2006. 3/4 of that are interest and penalties, which the government refuses to give me any negotiated break on as if they would any other taxpayer. I never failed to report a single dime. I reported every penny of income, and for 8 years on a monthly basis without ever being late, I made monthly payments until they bankrupted me. So essentially they sued me over my inability to pay. I got no bricks. I now got no easy treatment. I owe them $2 million. I'll be paying the IRS for the rest of my life. Hunter Biden failed to declare $8.5 million of income. I failed to declare zero. There's apples and oranges here, not even close. But why isn't he being charged with extortion, bribery, money laundering, illegal lobbying, and treason? He's eligible for all of those. This was a sweetheart deal. It blew up. It remains to be seen whether the law will be applied evenly. When are 26 FBI agents storming his home at 6 o'clock in the morning to take him into custody? Because what he's accused of doing, far more serious than the fabricated crime of lying to Congress about Russian collusion, which we know definitively today never even happened. You can't lie about something that didn't happen, can you?
Or alerting CNN to the Roger Stone raid. They alerted Biden that, hey, they're coming, hide the documents. Two-tier justice system. Great stuff, Roger Stone. Stay with us real quick. Joel Gilbert, last word and odds.
Yeah, look, I would predict that Biden will drop out in November for some kind of health or other reason. I think it's likely he'll simply pardon Hunter. It doesn't matter what he gets convicted of at some point, possibly even pardon himself. And I would see the Democrats allowing Biden to stay in office as a lame duck probably for the next year. And I'm on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give it an 11 that Michelle Obama will be the Democrat nominee.
Yes, absolutely. Great stuff, guys. A lot of and this is crucial, even if it's Michelle. Go ahead, Joel. You got another.
Yeah, one more thing is you can live stream my film, Michelle Obama 2024, on SalemNow.com and also Amazon Prime Movies. It's now on Amazon Prime Movies as well as SalemNow, and get the DVD or book version on Amazon.com.
Yes, indeed. Roger, I didn't let you hawk your stuff. StoneZone.com. What else you got?
I do my daily show at stonezone.live, 5 o'clock Eastern every single day, stonezone.live. On the weekends, I'm on WABC Radio in New York. Go to WABCradio.com from 3 to 5 every Sunday afternoon. So far, my guests have included President Donald Trump, General Michael Flynn, country and Western superstar John Rich, the star of and producer of Sound of Freedom, Eduardo Verostegui, and we have big guests coming up this weekend. So tune in. That's WABCradio.com.
Very good stuff. Thank you both. And a lot of these things that they're passing now don't happen. The stoves, the toasters, the refrigerator, all the stuff that they want to do for the Green New Deal is 2029. This election is the biggest one to undo all that stuff. It's going to be, Joel and Roger say, it's going to be Michelle Obama versus Donald Trump. You heard it here first. Nobody else is talking about this. God bless you guys. Thank you both for joining us on the show.
Matt. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you.
You too. God bless you. All right. We'll see you next time on the Matt Buff Show. Phenomenal. Share this show with your friends. Like and subscribe. Share that roundtable. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow night on the show. God bless you.